So what if I were to tell you that Resident Evil 4 Remake could possibly be Code Veronica? Let's talk about that. Alright, how is everyone doing today? Hopefully you're having a good holiday, and I know it's been quite a while since I've actually done, Dustin Talks games. Um, so I'm probably gonna be wrong, totally wrong this whole entire video, but I'd be very surprised if I'm right. And it's just something fun to talk about, not to be taken super super seriously. I mean, I hope that I'm right, but I'm probably wrong, but that's okay. So what if, like I said a few seconds ago, what if the Resident Evil 4 remake is actually Code Veronica? Now it's an interesting thought and stuff. Now before I go any further, don't forget to grab your drinks and grab your snacks. Unfortunately, I don't have any snacks right now, but I do have my drinks. Okay, so moving forward now. Um, yeah, so what would your guys' thoughts be if they made Resident Evil 4 into Go Veronica? Now, originally, when Resident Evil 3 was made and Resident Evil Veronica was made, um, Nemesis, Resident Evil 3, was actually planned to be the side title, supposed to be the side game. Whereas Veronica was actually meant to be Resident Evil 3. It was supposed to be that, but due to, I think it was contracts with Sony or something at the time, I don't remember exactly the whole thing, um, but basically, Resident Evil 3, or I should say Resident Evil Nemesis, that's what it was called, there was no number on it at the time, it became Resident Evil 3, because I think they had to have like one or two more games on the PS1, um, and then I think they were in the middle of making Veronica at the same time because they came out literally a year apart. Resident Evil 3 came out in '99, where Veronica came out in 2000. Um, and a lot of the developers still, to this day, who made 3 and Veronica, they still look at Veronica as the true Resident Evil 3. Um, but yeah, what if they are taking Resident Evil, like the number Resident Evil 4, um, and they're making it Code Veronica. Now, I have a couple of things to back this up. There's just a few. Um, now, the first is a picture that DC Douglas leaked out of Albert Wesker in Resident Evil 4 Remake. Um, I'm not going to show the picture of Wesker because I don't feel like getting in trouble, but I do have something that's close enough that I can. Leon in Resident Evil 6, his outfit is strongly similar to Wesker, so let's check that out. Okay, so if you look here, Leon's wearing this nice blue shirt here. He's got the weapon straps and stuff, uh, some pants, and a nice vest here, right? Um, this is very similar to Wesker's Resident Evil 4 Remake outfit. Wesker also has the blue shirt. He has the straps here. The vest here is more of like a dress type vest. It's a formal vest. Um, the shirt is also open like this. Um, he has some stuff on this side of him. I believe he has like a, what do you call it, like a walkie-talkie, like a radio kind of thing on him. Um, and he has some, all this stuff on the side as well. If you look at over here, the back of Wesker also has this connector thing as well. Um, yeah, it looks very, very similar. I'm not going to put it up on the channel. Like I said, you guys have to look it up yourself. Because I don't want to get in trouble for looking up Albert Wesker, Resident Evil 4. Like I said, you can look at the picture yourself, compare them if you want. Um, but yeah, it's very, very similar. I don't think I can zoom in here. I guess not. Actually, I can zoom in this way. How do we do the zoom? Let's just do 200%. There we go. Good enough. Up, up. Okay. There we go. So yeah, Like I said, Wesker still has the same blue shirt. It's very remnants and stuff of his actually stars. It kind of reminds me of a stars outfit. He's got the blue shirt here. He's got the. It's like I said, it's more of a formal vest that he's wearing. It's a darker color, kind of like this. Um, and he has like the walkie-talkie thing, like I said here. He's got some stuff down here as well. It does kind of remind me of a Stars outfit a little bit. And then, like I said, the back of him also has this as well. It looks like it's very, very much inspired by Resident Evil 6's Leon's outfit. Um, so that's pretty interesting. That's one thing that kind of made me think. So, what if Wesker is more involved in this one? Because in the original Resident Evil 4, Wesker was very much behind the scenes. He was basically, I don't want to say pulling the strings because he wasn't, um, but he sent Ada out to get the sample of the Las Plagas parasite. So, what would he be doing wearing, this nice vest, weapon holsters, like all this stuff like that? From what I understand, apparently, what I read is that what Wesker is supposed to be um, part of the Separate Ways DLC. Now, he was in the original Separate Ways add-on, but it was just cutscenes and videos. He was sitting in this giant computer room, screens all around him and stuff. And he had this computer chair, and he would just kind of do everything on his chair. Um, and he was basically telling Ada where to go. He was watching satellites, all this kind of stuff. Um, so I wonder if he's going to be more involved and whatnot. But there's one big thing, one very big thing that I haven't told you guys about yet, and I was waiting a little bit to tell you guys. Um, and you're probably thinking, okay, so they changed his outfit, whatever. There's one big thing. His um, right arm, I think it is. No, left arm. Yeah, it's his left arm. Um, it's all burned up. All the way burned up, like all the way to here. It's all burned up. His hand, everything. Um, and there's maybe one. Let's see here. Let's count. Count how many places that there is fire in Resident Evil 4. Not very many. um, so you got two places in the castle. That's it. Um, the first one you come across is the fire statues that you have to run and go kill the Garrador. Um, and then you go behind him and pull a switch. The second one is a giant lava pit where you have to go get one of the animal slab pieces that you got to put into the wall to raise the wall up in the main area of the castle, like the main entrance. And you don't even go close to the lava. You're riding on this thing, you go across, and then you're walking around, killing all these guys, and there's these big fire dragon things, mechanical things that these guys ride in, and they're going back and forth, and you shoot them and it drops in the lava. But Leon, the character, doesn't get any close to that lava. So that's two. The third one is when you're fighting the two giants. You knock one of the giants into the lava, and you fight the other ones. Now, that's optional. You can just slide down. There's a switch on the wall. You pull it, opens up, falls in. Again, Leon doesn't go close to that. Unless you get too close and the guy grabs you and pulls you in, but then you die right away. The third lava area, I think, no, wait, 1, 2, 3, So the fourth lava area then is on the island, um, where you just, I think, is it just after you go to Ashley? Yeah, just after you save Ashley and you're on your way back, um, and you're running through these like tunnels and stuff, and then you drop down and there's a bunch of guys and there's a wrecking ball in the center of the room and there's a giant lava pit in the middle. You fight all these guys. You got to run around, pull a switch, make the wrecking ball break a part of the wall open, so you can get to the door and get out. Again, you don't go in the lava. You don't get touched by the lava. So, I mean, it makes no sense to why Wesker's arm is burned in Resident Evil 4. Unless, like I said, Code Veronica. The biggest indicator to that is in Code Veronica. So sorry for all the coughing. Oh boy, throat's getting a little dry. So in Code Veronica, Wesker's main objective in that game is to obtain a sample of the T. Veronica virus, which Alexia made. So basically, Alexia wakes up from her like 20 years status because she's asleep. She wakes up. Her and Wesker have this confrontation. And the area is kind of cool because the area looks like the original Resident Evil 1 mansion. So she's coming down the stairs. Or no, sorry, she's standing on top of the stairs. Wesker's on the bottom of the stairs. And he's walking up, and he's basically like, "You're the creator of the T. Veronica virus." And then he's like, "I want it now," stuff like that. I could probably do the line because I can do Wesker's voice, but I don't really feel like doing it. But that basically whole thing happens, and he says, "I want it, and you're gonna come with me and give it to me." She basically says, "You can't handle this power," and she transforms as she walks down the stairs. Now, at that point in the story. And like the Resident Evil timeline and stuff. I don't know if a lot of people know this or not, but Alexia is actually much more powerful than Wesker at that point. Because it's only a couple of months after, he injected his, the prototype virus kind of thing. So, he has powers, he's strong, but Alexia is stronger. Anyways, what ends up happening is they get into a little bit of a fight. So she's throwing this fire blood at him, and he's running around, running on a wall. He runs down, punches her, and he has a little bit of fire on his arm, but he goes like that and he gets it off. He happens to look up, sees Chris. And he starts just charging toward one track. It's just like, there's the guy that basically ruined my plans, ruined my everything. So he starts walking right toward him. And Alexia was like, "No, that's not happening." So she grabs her fireblood, throws it on Wesker's arm. And you can hear him audibly in pain. Because his whole entire arm is literally on fire. And he's like, "Ah," and then he goes like that, and he puts it out. And then he holds his arm for a minute. Now, I'm guessing because they're due to technical limitations of the game, the time, because originally it was on the Dreamcast, and then it was ported to the PS2 and the GameCube. But I'm guessing due to technical stuff, they couldn't really render, his arm burned or something. I don't know. So his entire arm is burned up, but it looks fine, right? But again, I'm gonna take it as technical limitations and stuff. So later on in the game, near the end, Chris and Wesker, they're kind of having this battle on a submarine pen, and explosion goes off and burns his face. Now, we don't see a burned face in Wesker's Resident Evil 4 design, but we see his burned arm and stuff. It's like a front and back picture. So the front picture shows his arm all burned up, and the second picture from behind shows his arm and it's all bandaged up and it's all red and it's all bloody. So I'm guessing that's what that's from. I'm guessing. Another thing too that I didn't bring up is that they're adding Claire into Resident Evil 4 somehow. That was another thing that came out. Um, she has no reason to be in Resident Evil 4 at all whatsoever. um, for that to work, they would need to rework the entire story. And if they don't rework the entire story, the only way that would work would be if they brought Claire's voice actor back and all that, and if they were to do some flashback scenes of Resident Evil 2 or something, because there's a part in Resident Evil 4 where Leon and Lewis are tied together. And Lewis is telling him, I used to be a police officer in Madrid and blah, blah, blah. Basically things weren't doing very good for him. And then Leon was basically like, yeah, well, um, I was at Raccoon City or something like that. Or no, a viral outbreak or something. And then basically Lewis kind of catches on and says, "Oh, it's a viral outbreak." Oh no, that's right. Leon says, "I was Raccoon City or something," and then Lewis was like, "That was a viral outbreak." And then he's like, "Yeah," and then Leon's basically like, "Yeah, it was my first day in the force," kind of thing. Maybe they could expand. Maybe they're gonna expand on that cutscene and maybe add flashbacks to Resident Evil 2 or something. I don't know. But that's the only thing I can think of about Claire, unless they're adding her to Mercenaries. Now, that would be kind of weird, but I mean, it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility because, again, we got Hunk in Resident Evil 4 Mercenaries, right? Um, because I don't know why. I want to be totally honest. Because Hunk's not in Resident Evil 4. We have everybody who's in Resident Evil 4 in Mercenaries except, yeah, the only one who's not is Hunk. Because you got Leon, you got Krauser, you got Ada, you got Wesker, um, and yeah, and then you got Hunk. In my opinion, they should have added Lewis to Mercenaries instead of Hunk. But I mean, if they're gonna add Claire to Mercenaries, I mean, it's not a terrible thing. It'd be kind of weird, but it's not out of place, I guess, because again, Hunk's in it. Um, but if they're gonna put Claire in the story for Resident Evil 4, it wouldn't make any sense at all. They'd have to rework so much stuff. Because I don't know if she's working for TerraSave at that point or not. I'm not exactly sure. Because I know at least one or two of the movies is before Resident Evil 4. I think The Generation is before Resident Evil 4. And I can't remember what Claire is doing at that point. Because you gotta remember the animated movies are canon, so I have no idea what they're gonna do. Um, another thing too, to kind of tie this whole thing together too, is I heard that this Resident Evil 4 remake is also going to be more closer tied to 2 and 3. Um, so I mean, because the original Resident Evil 4 wasn't tied to 2 and 3 or 1. I mean, it was very, very loosely tied to them. Very loosely, like it pretty much. Like I know everybody knows because they already played Resident Evil 4, but it's basically the very beginning was, well, these events happened. I don't. Do they even talk about 0 and 4? I can't remember. It's been a long time since I started a new game Resident Evil 4, but I know they talk about at least from 1 to 3. I don't even think they touch Veronica. I don't think. Um, I can't remember. It's been a long time, like I said. Um, but yeah, and then they end up basically saying that the government shut down Umbrella, blah blah blah. Umbrella's gone forever, and then it says 6 years later, and then it shows Leon and Carr, and you never heard anything connected to those games whatsoever ever again. Except for Leon saying I was on the fourth in Raccoon City. That one line. But other than that, nothing is tied to the previous games. So that's kind of another thing that's kind of putting me toward maybe it's Code Veronica. Now again, like I said, this is just a fun video, and I'm probably wrong, and it probably is like an actual Resident Evil 4. But there's like if there's so many things like there's those even just little things like that, that are like make you think again. Like Wesker's burned arm. Where the hell is he gonna burn his arm in Resident Evil 4? Like I said before, there's maybe 4 places where he can burn his arm. And that's about it. Not very many. Claire. Why is Claire in Resident Evil 4? She has no point in it. Or like I said, maybe Leon has a flashback of Raccoon City, or the lab, or something, police station, whatever. Maybe he has some sort of flashback, and it shows Claire. Because it didn't say, if I remember correctly, I can't remember if it said she's going to be a main character or she's going to be a side character. It just said that Claire Redfield is going to be in Resident Evil 4 Remake. I don't have any sources for that, to be totally honest. It's something that I've read quite a few times in different places. But yeah, the fact, like I said, the burned arm. Well, there we go. The burned arm. Claire being close to their previous games, and also just the way that Wesker's kind of dressed too, right? I mean, I know it could be just a new design, but I mean, that's like 4 things, right? Yeah, I don't know what else to say, but that's my thoughts. I think that Resident Evil 4 Remake could possibly be Code Veronica. I know a couple of people are saying, oh, maybe they're going to merge the Code Veronica and 4 together. I would not want that. That, to me, that's a big no-no, because for one, they're 2 separate events. They're in 2 separate countries. They're like 6 years apart, something like that. Yeah, there's so many things, and the stories don't even connect whatsoever. Like I think like the only thing, because Claire's like, oh, I'm gonna send a message to Leon, so we can get in contact with Chris to save me. But that's the only thing. It's only like a one-liner kind of thing, right? That Claire has about Leon and Veronica. So I don't know. That's just my thought. I think that it might be a possibility. Like I said, I'm probably wrong. We know. I can't say I know, but I strongly have a feeling that he's definitely doing something with Wesker, DC Douglas. And this is not including the picture, because that picture kind of solidifies that that something's definitely happening. But there was an interview that he did with another YouTube channel. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, unfortunately. And it was back in June, I think it was. Is when the video went up. So the guy is pretty much saying, one of his favorite characters is Wesker, and is there, I'd love to see him back in Resident Evil 9 and blah blah blah, stuff like that. And DC Douglas is like, well, Resident Evil, the 3 games, like the 3 previous games, like 7, 8, and he says 7, 8, and 9. It's pretty much Ethan's story. He's assuming, because I mean, spoiler warnings for those of you who haven't played Resident Evil 8, but obviously Resident Evil 7 is Ethan. Resident Evil 8 is Ethan, but Ethan, he dies, right? If you got spoiled, I gave you a warning. But yeah, so Leon or Ethan dies, right? You still have Rose for 9, and I don't know, and you also have the BSAA and stuff as well. At the end. So I don't think Resident Evil 9 is gonna have Wesker, to be totally honest. And that's what he said. He said, DC Douglas said in the interview, he said, well, he's like, I don't think you're going to see Wesker in Resident Evil 9. He's like, these last three games, like 7, 8, and 9 coming eventually, is Ethan's story. He's like, so I don't think you'll see him in Resident Evil 9. He's like, I'll be very honestly surprised if he did. And it was a genuine, you could tell it was a genuine response. But the interviewer goes, well, he's like, do you ever think Wesker will come back? That's a genuine thing. Do you think Wesker will come back eventually? Have you ever got that phone call? Or do you think you ever will? And this is the point where it kind of shows that he's like, yeah, he's definitely doing something. Because he stumbles his words. Because the guy's like I said, have you gotten a phone call? Or do you think you will get one in the future for playing Wesker? And he has a drink in his hand, and he's like, "Do I think? Maybe." And he starts laughing and takes the drink. It's kind of funny because just the way he reacts, it seems like he doesn't want to say something. He literally just stumbles his words a lot, and then he just kind of like, maybe. And then, so he's definitely working on something for sure. And then obviously, of course, last few weeks ago, two, maybe 3 weeks ago, maybe, he put out on Twitter the Wesker picture. Again, you'll have to look that up. I'm not putting that on here. So yeah, there's definitely some Resident Evils in the work, and there's a lot of Resident Evil 4 talk and stuff. So obviously Resident Evil 4 is eventually coming. I think I read a 2023, I think 23 release date. Don't quote me on that because the game's not even officially announced. That's just from the leaks and stuff that came out of their database and all that, the Capcom one, before Resident Evil 8 came out. So quite a while ago. But that's just my thoughts. With all these things, like I said, with the Wesker, the way it's designed, his outfit, his arm, Claire, being all tied together with Resident Evil 2 and 3, basically having a stronger connection to the original games, because Code Veronica obviously had a connection to the other games as well. It was very Umbrella focused and all that. So that's just my opinion. I think it could possibly be Code Veronica, and maybe they're slapping a 4 on it, which would be nice. And I can't remember if I said this or not earlier in the video, but Code Veronica was originally meant to be number 3, I think. Yeah, it was originally supposed to be number 3, because Nemesis was actually supposed to be a side title. So I can't remember. I think it was under contract with Sony or something that Capcom had, and they had to make like 2 more games, which was Nemesis and Survivor. But the thing is, though, Nemesis, Resident Evil 3, and Veronica are only a year apart. So my thinking is that Veronica was supposed to be number 3, and they were working on both Nemesis and Veronica at the same time. And they probably, guess, due to contracts, whatever, they had to put number 3 on the PlayStation. They had to put a main title on the PlayStation 1, so that's how Nemesis probably became 3. And then, again, you got Veronica. So, yeah, that's my thoughts anyway. I think that it could possibly be Resident Evil Veronica. Now, that would be, in my opinion, be kind of funny. I mean, not really. I mean, obviously, people being mad and upset, isn't funny, and stuff. But if they did that, a lot of people would be pissed. So many people would be mad. because they hear Resident Evil 4 Remake, and everybody's like, oh my god, Resident Evil 4 Remake, and then what they get is Code Veronica, and then they throw the 4 on it. I can understand people being really mad about that, though. But, again, I mean, it'd be cool, it'd be fun. Another possibility, if it doesn't go the Code Veronica route, another possibility for these changes and stuff, we'll push Claire away. You know, we'll just pretend that she's flashbacks and Mercenary's character. We'll say that she's not even a main character in the game. But we'll say Wesker has a little bit more of a I can't think of the word. He's more involved. We'll say he's more involved in this one. And then I think they want to have it more connected because 4 was kind of the black sheep in a sense in the series. Because you have 0 to Veronica, and they all have this. They're not super connected, but they all have this interwoven connection to each other. And then you got 4, which kind of like breaks that chain. And then you got 5, which kind of chains back to 0 to Veronica, right? Because there's connections to the previous games and stuff to that. So I think it wants to be able to flow better within the series, you know, so that you can have like 0 to 6 to 8, whatever. Just flow through a lot more nicely. Because that was my second thought. If they're remaking 4, they're going to remake 5, and I couldn't see them remaking 5 because that'd be really big. I can't see them touching 6, and not for the fact that nobody likes 6, and because 6 is garbage, but we're not going to go into that. Just the sheer scale of 6. You know, you got 4 stories. You know, Leon, Chris, Jake and Sherry, and Ada. That'd be a hell of a lot to do on the RE engine. Let's be honest. Like, that game would be fucking massive. Like, the size of it, like the file size would be insane. You know, so I can't see them doing that. I think the reason why they're redoing 4 is so that it feels so. Like I said, so it just fits more nicely into the series. But that's my thoughts. I think that it could possibly be Veronica. There's just a lot of things that kind of, could kind of go that way. Again, I'm probably wrong. Because it did say that Wesker's look is for separate ways. But what's to say that they could name separate ways something in Veronica? Maybe you play as Wesker. Something. I don't know. Nobody knows nothing. When it comes to Resident Evil 4. I mean, except the people who are leaking the stuff out, obviously they know, but, that's just my thoughts. Like I said, it could be Code Veronica. Let me know what you guys think, and, again, if you want to see Wesker, you have to look him up yourself. I know it's the third time I said it, but, I'm not putting the picture up. And the funny thing is, that's the only thing that's been leaked out, actually, is Wesker's picture. Going back to that real quick before I wrap this video up, the only thing that's been leaked out is Wesker's picture. There's no picture of the village. There's no picture of Leon. There's no Sadler, no Lewis, no Ashley, no nothing like that, It's just Wesker, and Wesker's arm's all burned up and stuff. So it's very strange. Very strange, that's for sure. But anyways, let me know what you guys think about this video. If you liked it, feel free to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Hopefully you guys are having a good holiday. I wanted to make a video before Christmas. I don't know if it's going to come up before Christmas. I'm hoping it's going to be up before Christmas. But I guess we'll see. Anyways, I will see you guys in my next video. I hope you all have a very good day and a good holiday. And until then, peace out.